limping on her back. Right.
Definitely got a limp. And you know that she's got body issues
Yeah.
that are unresolved when you look at her top line, right, and her neck.
I think I'm gonna get the chiropractor to come. We've been giving her alfalfa
Yeah.
tubes every time. She needs way more food than the others.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she needs more. And that's the challenging thing. When you have them all. Oh, and I remember, now that I'm lifting the foot, that she had really underdeveloped thrushy frogs when we met her, right? And really far run toes, like really long toes, underrun heels. So you've brought the heels back beautifully. Everything is shifted back. You look at where her heel bulb runs down, where the heel initiates, and her loading of her heel purchase is right back where it needs to be now. So that's excellent. What I do see is a little bit of that purple bruising and this lip. Look up Daisy Bicking's retracted soles.
Okay.
She has a video about where she explains it beautifully. But essentially what's happening is when the sole is super thin and it goes through a wet period, which we've had,
Yeah.
the sole takes on moisture, it's supposed to.
Yeah.
But when it's really, really thin, it takes on more moisture than it can handle, and it almost makes it thinner than that. And then it sucks up into the shape of the coffin bone,
Yeah.
and it puts too much pressure between the coffin bone, the blood supply, your corium, and the sole, and that makes them very tender-toed. So she's got that, retracted soles. So for that, you can do hoof armor application.
Okay.
You could boot her, hoof armor, duct tape some pads on her, whatever it takes. Walking on this mud would make it really hard on her. Once there's snow, she'll probably be fine.
Yeah.
She likely has retracted soles in both front feet. It's normally in both if it's in one.
Yeah.
So you've got her toes back where they need to be
Bella.
to help bring more sole depth, but she's had thin soles since I met her. She was just more flat before.
Yeah.
The retraction is because it's not dry summer. We've had a wet spell, and it just, when you look at the other horses, they have like a nice, it slowly comes up to the toe callus. Do you see
Yeah.
how hers is flat, and then there's this really tight lip? Be very cautious not to run the rasp across that lip of sole. You're only backing it up. You can put a bevel, but you really want to leave some protection here. So we want the toe back. You've done well there, but you might see, come here for 1 sec.
Yeah.
See how much is here?
Yeah.
Try and see if you can leave that much here
There?
for a couple trims.
Okay. Sounds
Right? Because it's still beveled. It's still tight, right?
good. And it has a bit more protection.
A little more protection because there's the height of the sole, there's the height of the wall, right? Her wall and her sole here, and these horses will often wear this flat. They're not even taking height, but just see if toe pillar to toe pillar, we can offer a little more protection to that retracted sole ledge
Sounds good.
for a couple trims. That might help.
Yeah.
Yeah. And meanwhile, you're trying to make sure she doesn't run her toe forward, but the frog is improving. Yeah, hugely improved. It's coming.
Amazing.
It's a process, right?
Yeah.
If this was day one, you'd say, that frog needs a little work. Yeah, it still needs a little work. But I think she had like those little butt crack frogs when I met her.
Yep. Good.
Yeah, and they were as long as the foot almost. They were so run forward. So things are coming back. I'm just sort of clipping along and shaving off what's dead. And then this is so much more dense than it was, but yeah, that's good. I can't move this with my thumb. That's really good. A week ago in the mud, you might have been able to push on that with your thumb and move it.
Oh no.
That's how thin those are. This is really nice. You got it level. It's easy on her. We're gonna leave this and this alone because it's helping support the front half of the foot. It looks good. I wouldn't do anything different. I wouldn't do anything extra with this foot today.
Amazing.
Yeah, and when you lay across, you can see that there's frog lacking.
Yeah.
You don't want to trim the heel lower to try and meet up with the frog. You want to listen to your sole plane and see, and your collateral groove depth and see that there's no more heel height to take.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
confused and I was trimming that like.
Yeah, because you're looking at the frog and how low it is, and that's just because it's underdeveloped. And the frog is underdeveloped. Her digital cushion's been underdeveloped since I met her.
Yeah.
And her digital cushion is going to improve over time with a more functional hoof. When everything's run forward, this ends up weak. So the longer this is kept back where it needs to be, and it's below all the bony structures properly, then this is going to get more correct functional exercise per se, and then it'll start to develop. But the other issue being, yeah, that's really weak in there still. The other issue being that because she has body issues that are making her move and compensate, hard to develop digital cushion when they're walking around Careful. Definitely improvement. Again, very weak digital cushion. Very thin,
Yeah.
right? Spongy, not much to it. I can push the frog out and it prolapses, right? I can prolapse the frog, and that's just because there's no digital cushion. From here to here, there's nothing. There's no height, there's no depth.
Yeah.
Right? There's no depth in the back of the foot. So when we trim the heel down and we try and match up sole height, we reduce the whole depth of everything. What I want you to start to do, let her have it back, yeah. What I want you to start to do, it's okay, let her be and let her get standing under herself. You get her under herself, and then we're gonna look at this together. Good. Good girl. Good. Let her put her foot down and weight bear it, and then coming over and we'll look together. Exactly. So we've got toes back really effectively, but because the heel is low, you just flicked her toe up, yep, and her wings down of her coffin bone. Her pitch of her internal structures does this.
Yeah.
She's high at the toe and low at the heel. And when we lower the heel, we exasperate that. So instead, when you're trimming her, I want you to leave your rasp in this position and everything heads downhill.
Okay.
See how I'm giving a situation where the heel has room to go higher?
Yeah.
So,
I actually didn't touch the heels.
good. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
You're correct not to.
Elsa told me don't touch the.
Yeah, that's right. And so she doesn't have depth. She doesn't have a thick toe callus or anything. She's got retracted sole. So there's really no room to drop the toe height to alleviate it today, maybe by the next trim. But do you see the height in the back of my rasp?
Yeah,
Everything's headed this direction. The direction of the growth and of the trim is all sloping down at the front, up at the back. Okay, now I want you to look at that. And you saw how very little I took.
Yeah.
Right? Now I want you to look and scope that foot one more time. And just see how instead of lowering things flat, I lowered everything this direction.
Yeah.
You see how that bevel just ends up that way? And then this becomes more of a platform at the back.
Yeah.
Okay? Keep doing that for her, and you're gonna get it, because you got your toe length in the right place. Okay. We have low collateral groove depth.
Yeah.
Right. But she's got the retracted sole in the hind foot too, and that's just having thin soles all the way around. The trick with the quarters is that if you over lower them, you can drop them onto the back as well. Okay. But right now her heel is lower than her quarter is. So we're gonna pitch that quarter down and forward to smooth it out a bit, just so that this isn't more pressure than this. Sorry.
It's totally fine.
You're in my way.
I yield to pressure.
You did. Didn't take much. So I didn't drop the quarter a lot, and I'm glad you didn't follow that quarter of the sole all the way down and in. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
That was really good. But it's just that pitch. In my mind, I'm envisioning what I want to do to the internal structures, how I want to help the internal structures by pitching this foot down at the toe, up at the heel. Everything should be heading downhill towards the toe again. So again, retracted sole. And see here how you've left her just slightly,
Yeah.
just slight, right? And here there's nothing.
Yeah.
So she may be wearing that all herself anyways. That does happen a lot with these guys. But just see if you can get this happening for her here. You can keep it backed up and leave her a little more protection over that retracted section. And the frog is better. It's absolutely better. And it's just gonna take time. Good. Oh, this is a good one for this to look at. You can come and look at that. This is the heel that grows down straight. This is the heel that grows inward, right? It goes out, away from the center of the foot. So this one will rarely have height to take. It'll always have flare to take. This one's gonna have height to take, but not flare to take.
Yep.
Make sure each heel is dealt with individually to develop and reproduce more balance each time, right?
Yeah.
If you lower this, it doesn't mean you have to lower that, vice versa. Don't necessarily lower that, so you have to lower that. Look at your sole plane height.
Yep.
Look at your collateral grooved height. Look at your frog height. That's the hardest one to look at because it's soft tissue. And really determine, am I bringing in flare enough? Am I bringing down heel enough?
Yeah.
Okay, it looks good. Great.
Perfect.